You knew each other or no? You have met, you have just met. One of the inaugurations we had, I don't know if you remember this, in our house for every class. And you could not come, but you came to win some tickets. And Otilia did not tell us why she did not come. And we understand after it was a birthday, and she came to win the cookies.
YouTube, so although nobody will check it out.
You never know. You never know. The phone rings.
You never know what I think.
Shall we start? So, welcome. I will invite, I was just joking with some of the guests, I'll invite you to come up front because people keep leaving and so they'll arrive and we'll be able to sit in the back. I was also saying we pay the same, either we sit in the front or in the back. So we start, just some words of start for starting this ceremony. Usually we try to introduce small changes in each one of them. Usually would be Botond Feledy, so he's the LP manager, would be the person here welcoming. But this time it will be me. Botond will give just some data and will also present to the fellows. So my name is Filipe Martins, I am a Jesuit, I am the director of JESC. And just to welcome you all. So we have different people here, we also have partners. And I've been told along the day, so also a good welcome or a very warm welcome to the people who are online. So we have some people who could not travel, friends, families, so a warm welcome also for them. And just a word for this ceremony. I don't know if you have been attentive. To a lot of different documents coming from different sources. From the Vatican, from the bishops, Pope Francis, the new Pope Leo, Jesuit Refugee Service, so working with refugees. We have Raymond here also as well. And there's a word that has been consistently in all these different documents. I don't know if you are aware of that. When I was thinking what to say at this beginning, it's the word hope. It's the word hope. So sometimes we repeat a word very much or often because this word is very much present. It can be a reason. But it's true also, sometimes we repeat often a word because it's lacking or because the situation of the world, the situation around us, very much welcome, the situation around us asks for that. And I don't know, this is a recent publication, it belongs here to Erik, we just did some printed copies, but if you go to the JESC websites, it's our new annual reports. And in this annual report, we speak about the different projects of JESC, but of which one of them, we have 6 different lines of works, but one of these lines of work, one of these projects, is precisely ELP. And if I may say so, you know, we have the ecology projects, we have also European affairs, but I don't know, maybe the others will be envious. But when I was looking at this, I was looking at you guys, the LP, and you give me hope. We had on Saturday a sharing of what they received during the program, and it was nice because they shared difficulties, they shared still doubts they have on their lives, but it was also was nice to see what they have received from the program and what they feel called to give. And so that's it. I think hope was a nice word also to speak about this program, and we invited them afterwards also to share with us 1 or 2 meaningful words with which they describe this experience of these 6 months. So this is it, a word of welcome, and now I pass the floor to Botond, who is the ELP manager. Thank you, Botond.
Also, a very warm welcome on my behalf and on the behalf of the ELP team, who is also preparing in the background for the reception, because we should also enjoy the excellent weather after the diploma handover. So thank you for joining, thank you for coming. We have 15 fellows with us tonight, and we are happy to see them being ready for the first phase of the vocation discernment they did. So as you know, the European Leadership Program is a vocation discernment formation inspired by the Jesuit tradition, by the Ignatian methods. That's what they have been through, and we will listen to them later, actually, what is the very concise takeaway that they want to share with us. This is the 13th cohort. So we started before COVID, before dinosaurs died out. And that means that we are running every 5 months a new cohort with some overlap. So we have second semester fellows who are taking 10 months instead of only 5 months with us to deepen and also to be the institutional memories of the cohort and between the cohort transitions. I also welcome warmly the families who are present, because we are always very glad to have some of you joining from other member states than Belgium and flying in to the ceremony. That's an honor to have you, and we are more than glad also to see the alumni and several members of the alumni around us, and of course some of the mentors and coaches who joined tonight, who accompany the fellows individually over the 5 months in their discernment process. So that's the general outline, and as we try to get you to discuss with the fellows after at the reception, I would just call them one by one, and you can turn to the public and just maybe show yourself. So, Clary. That's it. Patricia. Rodolphe. Pedro.
Can you just say the countries where they come from?
Oh, that's my exam. And in some cases, it's not so easy. Clary is from Hungary, Patricia is from Spain, and we always are happy to have Belgians with us, as Rodolphe, and Pedro, should I say, French-Lebanese, currently in Belgium. Anna Nico, French-American. Luca, Italian. Working with the Bishop Conference. Sofia, also Italian. Luis from Portugal. Christoph from the Czech Republic. Cecilia from the Spanish Kingdom. Manuela, Italy. Tommaso, Italy. At one point, we had an ELP officer from Italy, so we grew really strong roots in Italy. Vorka from Hungary. Carlos from Portugal. And last but absolutely not least, Lise from France. So we are extremely happy to have them. Please take seats as you arrive. I'm sure that we will be more and more in the room. And I will now give the floor to Erik de Bom, who is acting director of the University Center Saint-Ignatius in Antwerp. Antwerp used to have a huge Jesuit university, and this foundation that he is heading is making those Jesuit traditions stay alive in the city of Flanders. And we are happy to have them as sponsors, as a long-standing sponsor and supporter of ELP, not only of the graduation, but also of the so-called Global South Fellowship, in which from next September, next October on, we will have again a Global South Fellow, just as we did already 3 times, right? So that's a beautiful cooperation between Jesuit institutions. Thank you, Erik, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Botond. Dear fellows, dear colleagues, it's always a pleasure to speak a few words at this ELP graduation ceremony on behalf of UCSIA, University Center Saint-Ignatius, Antwerp. That's a close partner of JESC and a supporter of the wonderful ELP program. As a university center that invests in building bridges between academia, social organizations, and civil society, we strongly believe in a holistic formation that connects wisdom, experience, and action. Of course, now that you have completed your ELP fellowship, you will immediately recognize the Jesuit's signature. It's an investment, a way of life, and that takes time to come to fruition. I recall a mother who went to her pastor and explained that her son seemed very interested in becoming a priest. And she asked what this would require. And the priest began to explain. If he wants to become a diocesan priest, he'll have to study for 8 years. If he wants to become a Franciscan, he will have to study for 10 years. And if he wants to become a Jesuit, he'll have to study for 14 years. The mother listened carefully, and as the priest concluded, her eyes brightened. Sign him up for the last one, Father, please. He's a little slow. Now, all kidding aside, a Jesuit formation does become a second nature, and especially because it's so strong in making the bridge between the vita contemplativa and the vita activa. And it's on that last aspect, the importance of action, that I want to dwell a little bit longer. And I will do so with an analysis of the German-American thinker Hannah Arendt, who was looking for the foundation of a political community. Her quest was a reaction itself to the position of the French philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau. For him, experiencing compassion was a natural feeling, but it was more than just a feeling. Rousseau also saw it as a virtue, even more, a political virtue. The innate aversion we have when seeing others suffer ideally formed the basis for building an entire community for him. And that made compassion by far the most important political virtue for him. But Arendt fundamentally disagreed with the Frenchman. Not that she denied the existence of compassion, but for her it could not and should not serve as the basis for building a political community. Real compassion could only be felt with another individual person. You sympathize with the suffering of one person. And it's no coincidence that she sees Jesus Christ as the epitome of this compassion. According to Arendt, suffering with an entire group completely erodes the meaning of compassion. The individual simply disappears. All suffering is lumped together. What does the concrete suffering of someone still represent? Do you remember the image of the 3-year-old boy in his red t-shirt lying dead on the beach, flat on his stomach, washed up after drowning during his flight from terror strike in Syria on his way to Kos in Greece? I'm quite sure. And yet, this photo dates from 10 years ago. But the image is burned into everyone's eye. And it was the reason for a flood of comments, actions, appeals. Not that this has changed the fate of so many other refugees. Today, because of the many horrible wars, we are inundated with photos of orphaned, emaciated, exhausted and mutilated children from disease, hunger and violence, and by unreal numbers of children who have died. But it does not really touch us anymore. It's simply too much. The omnipresence of suffering is paralyzing. For Arendt, the private, singular approach to compassion was essential, because only that form of compassion prompts us to act. Suffering with an entire group flattens us and reduces others to anonymous sufferers whose suffering is interchangeable. If we do take action, we do so out of a misplaced compassion, and Arendt speaks in that context of pity, in which we ignore the individual other. We are silenced. We do not listen to his or her story and think we know what to do. There can be no question of genuine compassion. Arendt has also seen clearly that our compassion is primarily aroused by the wounded and suffering body, a hungry child, a sick woman, a man mutilated by war violence. But what about the child deprived of education, the oppressed woman, and the discriminated man? These forms of suffering are not necessarily visible on someone's face. They could all too easily be overlooked, while they are, of course, fundamentally unjust and deserve our compassion. In order to be able to tackle the invisible, structural forms of suffering and injustice, solidarity is needed. Solidarity as a political virtue, according to Arendt. You will need developed policies to tackle these challenges. But that does not mean that compassion has no role to play. Precisely because it's a natural force, the driving force of compassion has enormous potential. The natural sensitivity to the concrete situation of others moves people, sets them in motion, and encourages them to act. But the impulse that emanates from the concrete situation of others only becomes truly politically meaningful if it can be built up and rationally. And this requires institutions and policy instruments that are based on rights and not on compassion or charity. And that's something which Robert Schuman, for instance, realized very well. The ultimate ideal of a peaceful and united Europe could not be realized overnight. Where would you start? The scale of the challenge is immediately inversely proportional to the ability to actually make that change happen. To make the project a success, small steps are needed. Concrete forms of cooperation that encourage action. That's inspiring, gives courage, and does indeed set something in motion. If I zoom out, I can reformulate that. Concrete, warm forms of solidarity are literally heartwarming and inspiring, but they remain too dependent on goodwill. That's why they must be able to develop into cold, that's institutionalized forms of solidarity. This interaction is essential to make action effective and solidarity robust. That work is not finished, but fortunately, there are many examples of solidarity action that can inspire today. And even more fortunate, there is a new cohort of ELP fellows to put our lofty ideals of compassion and solidarity into action. We count on you. Congratulations.
Well, even laymen can be strong at Jesuit foundations, so we allow this after the several decades of studies. Thank you, Erik. Thank you very much also for the speech. And now it's my role to present you Otilia Danta, who is sitting with us on stage, currently Institutional Relations Director of Temasek, but more importantly, mentor of the European Leadership Program for several cohorts and semesters. She can also talk a lot about the questions of solidarity and how the relations in Europe have been impacted by the current conflicts, as she was and is a political researcher working a lot on Russia. Her PhD from Cambridge was covering a very interesting Russian topic of how current Russian ideologies have been developed in the 21st century. And later she went for political analytical consulting firms, but she kept volunteering for the good cause since her, not even high school probably, but earlier, if I recall well, your speech with the fellows 2 weeks ago. Otilia was so kind that she even brought a dinner over for the ELP talk. So when we met at 7 o'clock and the discussion ended, then we just sat over the garden and continued until some hours further in the night. So that's the level of volunteering we have seen, and if she can complement the words of Erik, then certainly institutions and why institutions are important. And I guess in this bubble, some of us do understand why they are important. She was having such a discourse that one of the fellows during the personal mission presentations days said that actually he had to a bit change the presentation because he got the point on this institutional aspect. So that's the impact we have with Otilia so far in the cohort, and I'm very glad that you accepted the invitation to be the keynote speaker. Thank you, Otilia.
Good evening, everyone. I'm already a bit nervous tonight, you see, and you just made it worse because you know the previous speakers at ELP graduations. There was a former president of the European Commission, José Manuel Barroso. There was a former editor-in-chief of Politico. There was a former secretary general of the European Parliament, and there were chairmen of boards of directors and politicians and diplomats of the highest rank. And I'm hugely aware that I'm literally no one as compared to them. Even Erik is a tough act to follow, right? I know that there are people out there who are more famous, more powerful, more successful than me. And it is with this knowledge that I compose my message tonight. Some believe it is only great power that can hold evil in check. But that is not what I have found. It is the small everyday deeds of ordinary folk that keep the darkness at bay. Small acts of kindness and love. Now, I did not come up with this statement. I had to read it, as you can see. I borrowed it from Gandalf, the great wizard of the Lord of the Rings. I picked it because it best expresses what I think of the world today. I'll explain. As Botond mentioned, I have already mentored several cohorts of the ELP. And a couple of years ago, there was a fellow who was just finishing her fellowship. And she told me of a disappointment that after doing a traineeship with the Commission, the job that she secured was going back home to the local town hall, working at the unit that allocates social housing. And that was not the way that she imagined that she would, change the world for better and make real difference in the world. And I thought about it for a second, and I was like, hey, so does that mean that you're going to work towards putting a roof over heads of needy people? And she goes, yes. And I'm like, listen, I mean, if you put a roof over a homeless person's head, you will make a step positive difference in their life. Now that's got to count for something, in the world where we weigh, good against evil. This one is going to count. It's going to count more than anything that I do every day. And I think that she got the point. I think that she immediately felt better about the way that she was going to approach her new role. May not be the most important job in the world, but it makes difference, and it makes difference every day. Another story, right? Nowhere compared to putting roofs over homeless people's heads, but makes me feel better. The other day I was at the Berlaymont with a relatively large group of people who represent European businesses in Southeast Asia. There were 40 of us. And we had a meeting with members of one of the cabinets. And we're waiting downstairs, and the usher comes to pick us up to go upstairs for the meeting. And the moment she sees us, I can see that she is very upset. And we couldn't tell why. And she was like, okay, through that gate, over there, stand in this corner, wait for the lift. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is not great, And the person next to me goes like, well, this one's grumpy. I'm like, yeah, you know what, I think she's having a bad day. And for some reason, we just made it worse. But I can hear from her accent that she's from my part of Europe. So, what, I'll go over and I'll see if I can make her smile. And he was like, yeah, good luck. Right, okay, take it as a challenge. So I walked over, and she's, abusing the button at the lift, trying to call the lift. It's lunchtime. And I'm like, hey, so, I started in Slovak. I'm like, I can hear you from the country next door. She was Czech. And, that's the moment when I become human and relatable rather than, a nondescript member of a group of 40. And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I see we upset you somehow. She was like, yeah, there are too many of you. The room that I secured is too small. You're not going to fit around the table. And I'm like, don't worry, there are always chairs in the back. And, these people are happy to sit in the back. It's not a big deal. And she just keeps pressing that button. I'm like, hey, you know what? I know that it's difficult with lifts around here at lunchtime. I promised myself that if I ever work at Berlaymont, the most important thing I will do every day is to go early for lunch, because otherwise you can't get downstairs. And that made her giggle, right? And from that moment on, it wasn't, I don't have enough space for you people. It was more, let me count the chairs and see how many more do we need to bring. And, I know it's not a big deed of, great good in the world, but it made the day of 41 people better, the 40 members of the delegation, and certainly for her. As Erik mentioned, the world seems a bit of a mess these days, right? War, suffering, and people pitched against one another everywhere you look. I feel that we have no one else to blame but ourselves, but we also have no one else to fix it rather than ourselves. Just one example, very modern one, very topical. Online disinformation. I spent quite a bit of time on this as a political risk analyst. And the problem is not that people do not know that the information that they have just seen on their screen, on the computer or on their phone is fake or manipulated in some way. The problem is that they do know. And they're happy to both consume it and share it further, just simply because it confirms their political or social identity. On any side of any political or social divide, it has become acceptable to lie, as long as it furthers the narrative or the interest of the tribe that you represent. Now, there is no regulation, and certainly no great leader, that can help us with resolving disinformation if we as individuals are happy to both consume and further lies. There is a very, very old world solution to this very modern problem. Lies have to be unacceptable. Do not lie, do not steal, do not kill anyone. It's quite simple to keep the darkness at bay and to make the world a better place. Only it isn't, because we have to start from ourselves. It's no good telling other people to be virtuous. It is us ourselves, every day, quietly, consistently, doing the right thing. It's a bit like healthy diet. I know it's not a great analogy, but it works, I promise. If you have good habits, time is your friend. Over time, you become fitter, you become healthier, and you live a longer and healthier life. Conversely, if you have bad habits, gradually, day by day, eventually you will become less fit and sick. The trick to healthy diet and living a long, healthy life is not perfection. It's simply consistency. There is no effort without error and shortcoming, but that's also not an excuse not to do what's right. If we fail one day, well, you know what? Just do it again the next day and fail better if possible. You want a kinder society? Go ahead, be kind. Help, smile. You want a stronger society? Start a book club, start a walking club, join a political movement. You want better environment? Plant a tree. Or join a beach cleanup. Just do it. That's no one is doing it. Well, that's more the reason why you should. Now back to my healthy lifestyle clumsy analogy. 30 years ago, nobody cared for eating enough fiber or getting light exercise of 3 hours a week, right? But gradually we learned about what makes a strong, healthy person for a long term, for the longer lives we live. And we took personal responsibility for our health. Now we do it every day, everybody does it, everybody checks how many steps did they take, right? Would you have done it 30 years ago? Never. Now it's time that we learn to take personal responsibility for the health of our societies. Day by day, with small deeds, consistently, over long term. It is the way to change the world for better, but it is hard work, yet it is worth it. Now, dear fellows, I have no doubt that you will walk incredible ways in life. The other day when we had dinner together, I saw a room full of confidence, competence, and compassion, a room full of energy and drive to make the world a better place, a room full of commitment to conduct your professional lives in line with your personal values. I have faith in your success. One day you will be directors and politicians and diplomats of the highest rank, but success comes slowly. And it's but fleeting. If you're a politician, you're lucky to be at the top for 1 term, maybe 2, make it 10 years, maximum. For the other, hopefully, 8 years of your lives, you will be ordinary people. Make every day of those years count. You will be representing workers' rights and alleviating humanitarian crises, cutting industrial emissions. Your legacy will be every smile you bring, every hand you hold, and every life you touch. You have the power to make difference every single day, and together we have the power to change the world. Thank you.
So before proceeding, and thank you very much, Otilia, before proceeding to the graduation itself, let us offer the book Walking with Ignatius to Otilia in gratitude for your speech. It happens the book was written by Father General of the Jesuits, but can be still good. So let's proceed to cleaning the stage. Please help me. And then we will call the fellows one by one for having their diploma. And then we will take some group photos and closing remarks. Can I still get back this mic? Thank you. So we did a new homework for the fellows, and we asked them that when they step on the stage, they should introduce in one word to one paragraph their ELP impact, experience, or the change that is supposedly due to ELP in the last 5 to 10 months. So that will be the exercise. Lucia will give the mic to the fellows, and we will greet them, all of you, and then we will take the photo with every one of you. Okay? Thank you. Anna, Nico, Clément.
Okay. For me, the ELP has taught me a lot, but I think the biggest lesson has been to listen more intently, to speak more confidently, and to listen to myself long enough to hear my decisions. Yeah.
First one is still to see how to do it. Come to the middle, and then you go, come, and we take the picture.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I may be alphabetic order, so.
It's hard to highlight one thing because I've been a fellow for 2 semesters, but I'm very grateful for the ELP staff and for my coach and mentor and the fellows for caring so much. So that's going to be my takeaway.
Kind of a cultural shock.
But also didn't receive so much photos. Carlos Macedo Grinho.
Can you explain the circumstances of Carlos?
Yes, so Carlos has been joining the cohort somewhat late. Yes. He's a medical doctor doing research because we also accept not only from social sciences and the political scientist classical profile, but we are happy to have normal people with us. And therefore we were extremely glad to have you and accommodate you and also doing the program even very intensively in the rest of the time. Thank you.
I am the one who is thankful as well. Well, for me, participating on the ELP, even if more informally in the beginning, was all about relationships, and also as I was sharing my PMP, all about discovering our own most deepest and deepest name, which is our vocation. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now the person with the largest family representation in the room.
Before Cecilia speaks, can I just ask the family to stand up, please?
For me, also, it's difficult to do 2 remarks. I would say that for me, ELP has given me the opportunity to have a nice community in Brussels that I just arrived. I also would remark the meaningful conversations between fellows and also the chance to know myself better. Thank you. Thank you so much.
semester fellow. Future second semester fellow, hopefully.
Hopefully.
That's the pressure we wanted to put on them.
Thank you. And thank you also for this precious time that I could take, well, for myself, a bit selfishly maybe, to reflect on my life and to realize that it's really a task for the rest of my life. But I was given some good methods and good company to do that, so I'm really thankful.
Thank you. And Christoph Zimmer.
So first, sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
The protocol is not the strength.
To me, the Herrick leadership really sticks with me, which can be just summarized with the 4 pillars, which is no, I have to remember. No, knowing yourself and your values, be kind and loving person, as well as inspire others. And the last one, I cannot get it. What's the one?
Who's in the room?
Anyway.
Acts of change.
Huh?
Acts of change.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you.
And we take a picture with
Luca Fabris.
I'm doing alpha. I would say the program allowed me to meet people. Most of them I can call friends, and definitely give me direction for life and definitely for my career. Thank you.
Thank you. Luis Filipe
Guimarães.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So I guess thanks to ELP, yeah, I learned to recognize the value of my background, and I can now take advantage of it when looking for new job opportunities. Yeah.
Our French representative, Lise.
Well, I will try to be brief because I also did 2 semesters, but I would say I have confirmed a lot of my previous choices, gained in confidence, and explored new aspects of my life.
Excellent. Manuela.
So being an ELP was so many things at once. It was our chance to upgrade, not just our skills, but ourselves as people. And I would say that now I feel part of a new family. Thank you.
Manuela is actually excellent in meme production on the social media, so if you need a new communication officer. Pedro, second semester.
Well, for me, it would be, I would say, ELP was a cornerstone to build, again, stability and community. Thank you.
European Council with all these speeches.
Yes, but it's a bit more interesting than those doorstep questions. Anyway, Patricia.
Well, ELP for me, okay, sorry. ELP helped me feel more confident, and I'm thankful for the experience and also for the people I met here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. So ELP for me has been a great framework for discernment, caring community to live with, and also an extraordinary way to have an international experience in my hometown. So thank you very much for making this possible.
For me, the ELP was a great journey of friendship and faith, to trust that I am where I'm meant to be, but also to trust myself that I can take that leap. Yeah.
Okay, ELP in one word for me is kitchen, basically. The place where we met, the place where we had discussions, debates, but also sharing of stories, backgrounds, but also very concrete sharing. I mean, pizza and ice cream. So, I mean, LP was conviviality and was sharing. So thank you for giving space and time to have this sharing. Thank you.
And we are nearing the very end. Thank you for your patience and attention with the diploma handover. Thank you, fellows, for saying your few thoughts words on your ELP experience. I guess that is also offering in a bright, open window what actually is happening inside the leadership houses. So as the fellows are living in two separate houses, this is two sub-pockets of ELP, but it's one community, and hopefully it will remain an even larger community of alumni. And that's why we actually invited an alumna to speak on behalf of the alumni community and to welcome you as the fresh alumni in this community of over 130, 140 people. So Judith Beck will give you some warm welcome. Thank you, Judith, for joining.
Good evening and congratulations to the current cohort. It's my honor that I was asked to give a speech about the alumni life. I'm jumping in for the board, which couldn't be here. And my precise task is to welcome you to ELP Alumni Life in about 2 to 3 minutes. I will try my very best to do that. I'm also very happy to share my wealth of exactly 4.5 months of alumni experience, because I actually only graduated in February this year. So let's see where this will take us. And I feel like our keynote speaker, because usually it's Antonello welcoming the alumni to the alumni life. So I speak like following the diplomats and the presidents as well, but I will try my very best. What does it mean to be an ELP alumnus or an ELP alumni? I've thought about it yesterday and today, and I came up with 4 different things that I thought I could share with you. The very first one is that, of course, you've had the experience of the ELP, which is expressed in both the language and the experience and memories that you've made. So you know perfectly well what it means when someone is stressed about their PMP. You know what it means when people refer to the big gap between IR6 and IR3 on the other hand, even though I've heard that actually this cohort, this gap was a bit reduced and you were quite united, so that's super nice. And you've also mastered the art of introducing yourself in 10 seconds. Name, why you're in Brussels and where you come from, because you practice that every Tuesday night for Speakers Night. The second thing, what it means to be an alumnus or an alumna of the ELP, is that you join a community, and Botond just told you how many alumni there are. I actually spent 5 minutes this morning going through the website, counting every single face of the different cohorts. So yeah, I actually didn't get to the same results, so excuse my counting. But you're joining an alumni community of approximately 140 ELP alumni, and only 30 or 40%, no, sorry, around 70% are in Brussels, but around 30 or 40% are also outside Brussels. So it's not just a community that is in Belgium, in your city, but actually in other countries in Europe and even beyond Europe. On a personal level, I find that means that you have friends and connections in a city that is often very buzzy and very busy, and that makes true, meaningful connections sometimes more difficult. And also on a personal level, to me, that meant being able to join R3 for just 1 month during this cohort, where they welcomed me super nicely, and now seeing faces that I've actually lived with for a month, which is super nice. A bit beyond the personal level, the connection among ELP alumni are also currently organizing themselves, with the Association of ELP Alumni having been set up earlier this year. And I looked again at what they shared about what this association is meant to do. And there's 2 purposes. One is serving the ELP, and the another one is receiving value as alumni. And I quote when I say that the second item means continuing the experience of trust and solidarity that defined our time in the program. And I think that speaks quite well of what it means to be part of this community. The third part of what it means to be an alumni is that you will be added to another WhatsApp group. And I counted, for me, it's the 6th WhatsApp group that has ELP in its title. So I think you will be added to this tonight or the latest tomorrow. And I also checked for this speech, the content of the WhatsApp group is around 25% news on the ELP and the ELP Alumni Association. Another quarter is job applications and job opportunities, and other events. And the last 25 I would classify as random. Selfies of Botond with older fellows, for example. Traces of the Jesuits in Bari, Valle d'Aosta advertisement, but also, for example, the popal elections were discussed. So I got the news that we had a new pope, not through the news, but through one of the ELP chats. So you will be added to all of that. But beyond all of this, what does it mean to be an ELP alumna or alumnus? To me, it also means increased consciousness about the common good and reassurance that this is shared. All of the speakers have said it, but I think looking at the news these past weeks and these past months has been particularly depressing, with war that is close to Europe, war that is in Europe, war with European involvement as well, human rights violations both on our continent, at its borders and outside, and climate change hitting more and more and more, as we could see with the very hot, very nice, but very hot days this week in Brussels. I wrote in my letter of motivation that I sent a year ago to the ELP that being confronted with the consequences of war, human rights violation and global injustices leaves me feeling overwhelmed and powerless at times, and I hope that ELP would give me more resilience and more strength to be able to cope with that, which is a big expectation, I realized. But I do hope that your 5 months at ELP have given you a bit of that resilience and a bit of that strength, and maybe in the words of Filipe, of the hope, so that reading the news and seeing what is happening in the world does not leave you depressed and feeling powerless, but that you sense a call to action for the common good. Congratulations and have a lovely evening.
Thank you. Well, this is at least a very promising alumni life. Indeed, when I meet some alumnus in town on a zebra or at a buffet, then I usually take a selfie, but that's just for making the inter-cohort connections, because you might not all know each other if you didn't live at the same time in the house. I don't want to give any more lectures, because Otilia and Dhand of the Grey also said that actually we should be just examples. And we try to be examples as good as human beings can get, and not Jesuits, but I try my best as a human being. And that means that many of us, and I'm sure that the fellows all did read the so-called universal apostolic preferences of the Jesuits. There are only 4, and I will only rely on one, which is journeying together. So how do we journey together and stay together on this road? And I guess this is the most important. Whether me, Filipe, and others will be around doesn't count as much as you will be always there for each other. And you can support each other when your values are shaken, when the values of a community are shaken, or when they are threatened in the worst of the ways. So that's something I really wish you that ELP alumni for decades and decades can stay together. We are trying to build some physical environment for that as well, but of course the most important is you and your spiritual attitude in all this beautiful journey. And once you can help each other, you can also help together the other communities. And maybe that's something that we should also keep the eye open. As we said in the very first inauguration day, leadership in the European Leadership Program is about taking responsibility for others. That's so simple like that. When do and when can we take that responsibility? So all I can wish you is to conspirare, so take the breath together. That's a beautiful word that we are abusing lately, but conspirare, so really doing something so much together that we take the breath together, is something that I really wish you as the new alumni, as the new momentum in the alumni community. So thank you very much for joining us for these 5 or 10 months. Thank you. And finally, of course, I want to thank those mentors and coaches I see in the room, Peter and Paul, sitting next to each other. Françoise, Father Guy, Jaime at the back, and Miguel Toledano here in the first row. Let's thank the Jesuits as well, Dalibor, Band, Filipe, and of course my beautiful team, Lucia, the communications team, and the rest of JESC already preparing the ground for the reception. But of course, in the good old Jesuit tradition, before releasing us to the reception, a final blessing going to Dalibor, please, the president of the Jesuits in Europe, of the conference, that is stretching from Vladivostok to Morocco practically. We understand Europe a bit. Greenland. Yeah. Jesuits can keep that. Let's not open that. I give you the floor.
dear ELP alumni, dear guests. Well, as Jesuits, it has been our privilege to accompany you during this formative moment at the start of your professional journeys here in Brussels. Throughout this experience, we have sought to share with you what we believe to be essential, the value of real in-person community among your peers, the importance of mentorship and wise guidance, and above all, the call to be lifelong learners. I wanted to point something about this third, to dwell on that last point, but just I would like to comment on the last sentence by Botond, and that's what will really remain deeply and what will remain very important for you from this meeting, although it was short, for some of you 1 semester, for some 2, it's relatively short. But establishing these connections of friendship, of shared experiences, is something that will stay. And I can tell you from Greenland to, okay, we are not in Greenland and Vladivostok, but somewhere, but in most of the places in between, we are present as the members of the Society of Jesus. And really, we have experience of how the world is small in our circles. And because we study and travel a lot, we meet each other and we meet people who are connected with us. And that certainly is something that I encourage you to nourish, to foster, to continue, and to continue these connections, these friendships that you have created during this last year. And I will do what the priest does best. Well, unfortunately, that's not preaching, but it's giving blessing, it's prayer and blessing, so that the protection of God may accompany you on your future steps that you will do not only here in Brussels, but wherever it happens that your vocation will take you, will bring you. So, dear Lord, bless the lives of these ELP graduates with goodness and love. Help them use their gifts wisely, pursue their dreams boldly, and walk into the future with faith, hope, and great love, always towards the Magis, always towards the better. Amen. And enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thanks to you. Thanks to everyone who joined the evening. And now the reception should be enjoyable on the terrace. Please serve yourself. And the fellows shouldn't go immediately for the drinks, but for a photo.
It's safe, in good company. Not anymore. It's good.
now. It's good? Okay, thank you.